market don't believe this rally. And that's why I'm so bullish, because they haven't even thought that gold could even go to 3,000, let alone space could be a 3 to 4x in the next 12 months.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to YWR. We've got a special guest today. It's our favorite gold mining CEO, Jeremy Gray. We had him on in October last year, and Jeremy put out an update on some deals he's working on this week. And I think came out Monday or Tuesday. And I saw that, Jeremy, and I said, "Oh wow, that is very punchy, very exciting, and I think we got to do an update and hear your views again." And I will. So Jeremy, thanks for being here. I'm just going to give everybody. I've written about you, and you were on last year, so most people will be familiar with who you are. But just to give the very quick background, we used to work together a long time ago at a hedge fund where you're a commodities analyst and made all those great contrarian calls. And I'd say that's your specialty, is your ability to do difficult contrarian calls and trades and investments. And then one of the, we'd stayed in touch, and one of the amazing things was in the depths of the bear market, you saw that this was a tremendous time to build up as much exposure to gold as humanly possible while it was while it was down. And actually you saw it every year that it continued to go nowhere. It was difficult, but you were also like, oh, this gives me an opportunity to just do another deal. And just to give people, you were, a little bit tight resources. So you were doing interesting stuff. I would say things that other people like you kind of saw these opportunities. One I'll just start with was your first mine you purchased was Pilar in Brazil. And this was a large mining company. I think Equinox was looking to divest it, but it was in the middle of COVID, and it was an underground mine, and there was all that uncertainty around would people work in a mine underground, and I think there were one or no bidders at the time interested. No one wanted to go down to Brazil at all and look at it, and I think that you saw that was a great opportunity to make a bid, and I think that was your first acquisition. And then the second one was in Finland, totally other side of the planet, but it was during Ukraine had just been invaded. What were the power prices? They were like $1,000 a megawatt or some, and it's one of the features of Liba is it has this fantastic new mill. It's a very kind of, you have to grind a lot of the ore up there, and it was going to be a very expensive electricity bill, and everybody dropped out. No one thought it was economic, could possibly be economical with the gold price where it was and where electricity was. And so you said, you know what, I'll bet things will change. And they did. And the gold price has gone up and the electricity price has dropped tremendously. And so that was another situation where no one ever wanted to, there were all the other bidders dropped away. And then the last one you've been working on, you've got your hat, is Tucano Gold. I think maybe what is Jeremy explain that one just real quickly for what your latest deal is.
Yeah, Tucano, and Eric, thank you so much for having me today. Tucano is our biggest of the three companies. It's actually the biggest gold mine in northern Brazil, and we bought it out of bankruptcy, like we bought Finland out of bankruptcy. And we're really super excited to turn it back on. We're very close to turning the mill on now. The market is incredibly strong. In fact, when we bought Tucano 11 months ago or 10 months ago, the price of gold was 1,800 on the day we closed, and it's 25.70 or something today. So yeah, we're super excited about that. And I think the key is you can only buy big mines like that when the market's really terrible, because I'm sure if that mine came on the market today, you'd have 20 really highly sophisticated, promoters from Perth or Vancouver who'd be much more cash rich than ourselves. And but fortunately back then, everyone was chasing lithium and all the hot battery commodities. So there was only actually two other bidders for that, and we were super happy that they chose us, and we're really It's an amazing business. So
And Jeremy, isn't part of the, like with Tucano, and I think it's the same with Liva, like what you're noticing is you're buying these mines with existing mill infrastructure and resources at cents on the dollar. You're very aware of what it would cost to get this machinery brand new or how long it would take to build, and it's just amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's some some upkeep and stuff you got to do, but it's just incredible value to be buying these existing mines at cents on the dollar.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tucano would cost you 500 million US to build today. It would take probably 10 years to permit, to fund, to build, etc. So the key is, grab them when no one else wants them. I think wasn't that the Chandler brothers, buy stuff that no one else wants.
Yeah, so, and I think the thing is that you're seeing that there's just not much difference to you. Not much of a move in the gold price will radically change the economics of these mines. And maybe these owners are just lacking a little imagination of where the gold price is going to go.
Well, I think all three companies that we bought were all funded by the last bull market in gold.
Oh.
And they were all built between 2011 and 2013 when money was flowing in our sector. So that's the only time you can build these things. But unfortunately for all three, they turned them on when the market then went into a 10-year bear market. So they had lots of debt. I don't think they did anything operationally wrong. They just suffered under a very tough market. So I guess that the key is you've got to be lucky, better be lucky than smart. And, today, when we first went to Brazil 5 years ago, we did a gold sale at 4,000 euros. Today, the price is 14,400, I think. So
reals, you mean, right?
Real,
yeah. Right,
so
right.
It really changes the economics, and that's the key. You got to be a bit lucky. You get your timing right, and then, unfortunately, though, when you do buy them, the sentiment is awful. So it is still hard to find the money to get them.
And I was going to ask you this, Jeremy. Like gold's at 2,600 now. Is everyone chasing you? Is there money coming into the gold sector now, or what's the sentiment?
It's definitely dramatically changed the last week.
Last week.
Pause, but I think genuinely believe most in the market don't believe this rally, and that's why I'm so bullish. Because
and you were saying that in your note, right? Like no, after this bear market, still no one wants to get sucked in, right?
Don't want to get sucked in. They've lost money on the sector. They made money on Apple and Nvidia and Bitcoin. They just are nervous to get involved, and that's why we called for a $2,800 gold price by the end of this month and 3,500 within 6 months. So
and 4,500 by next year.
End of next year, yeah. So yeah, at 4,500 gold, Tucano would probably make 25 million a month.
And you paid what for it?
Little under 4 million. Yeah.
4.
Look, you got to be lucky in these, and we haven't done it yet, and the price hasn't what we're hoping it will do, and it's certainly not easy. It's you still grind away, but I think by teaming up with Golden Shield, who are our partner now, they've got a listing. We're bringing on Leo Hathaway, who's Ross Beattie's chief geologist for the last 20 years. So I think people want to know that we're going to list, and Tucano is going to list in the next 4 months, I think, 4 to 5 months.
Now, I wanted to go back. We'll go back to the opportunities a little bit at the end, but I wanted to go a little bit more into your views, because I think you've seen all the different commodities. You've covered them on the sell side, on the buy side. Now, as a CEO, you were saying, look, we're seeing this demand coming from central banks now for gold, which we didn't have for a long time. I don't know, the Bank of England sold it in 2002 on the lows, but now central banks have come back very steadily. It's a new dynamic in the market, but yet there's no real money going into the gold space, and that's part of your bullishness. And now I think you also said, look, you call it the new golden era for gold, new bull market, but also that a lot of the industrial metals you think could be going into 10-year bear markets, and the investors there, just unlike the gold space, they're not ready for it and couldn't imagine it. I think,
Yeah.
and but I mean, I think you're saying oil could go to $40, iron ore could go to, was it 50?
Yeah, easily.
Um,
And
uh,
I didn't say for the next 10 years, but definitely for the next 12 months, we're going to see weakness in the base and the bulks and the oils. And importantly, what that means is I think we're going to see a brand new era where we have a very strong US dollar gold price, but also a firm US dollar. Because the last bull market in gold, you had strong dollar, but a very weak US dollar, which meant a lot of the benefit wasn't flowing to the bottom line for the producer outside of America.
right. And so this could be right where the local currencies in Brazil and South Africa stay weak, costs stay low, and you have this very strong dollar-based gold
Yeah,
price and gold.
you get massive margin expansion. And the market hasn't worked that out yet, right? They haven't even thought that gold could even go to 3,000, let alone the fact that the real will probably go to 7. And the Aussie dollar will probably go to 58, 55, 58 cents,
Okay.
So that's nirvana for us as producers outside of America. And, I think this space could be a 3 to 4x in the next 12 months.
And I tell you, I don't see. I look at the hedge fund holdings every month. Nobody's in this space.
No,
Like
no one.
GL, they don't. I mean, very rarely do they own GLD or a gold miner at all. I mean, the asset management space is not positioned for gold to be the leading sector and asset class.
And that's why we've been so lucky. We have 567 investors, mum and dad, sophisticated investors. We've never relied on institutions who don't play the space anymore. We've never relied on big debt providers or royalty groups. So we've managed to grow through the support of investors who can see real value, buying at cents in the dollar, huge margins, potential. And I remember back in 05, you could walk around Mayfair for one afternoon with some project out of the DRC Congo that's probably never been drilled and raise $100 million in an afternoon. And that is a classic top of the cycle.
And now you probably wouldn't get a meeting.
I've not met an institutional. That's why I'm wearing this. My suits, I've occasionally dusted.
You don't need a suit, right?
Yeah. They don't play the space. They will all come back. And but at the moment they were just buying Barrick and Newmont, and they may be buying a big index, but they're not playing little guys like us. And we're fortunate enough that we're not relying on them either. So, but that's all coming. That's all coming. I'm sure next year you and I can walk around Mayfair and raise 100 million in an afternoon. But right now, the market doesn't believe it because it's been trained by a 10-year bear market not to believe. And that's a very important, critical part of a new bull market.
Yeah, and I think it was coming back to another one of your predictions, was that you think the big majors like the BHPs and Rios will change their tune and decide they want to have a gold mining business as well.
100%. There'll soon be analysts saying you're not really a premier mining company unless you've got 25% of your earnings in gold. BHP and Rio are always big in gold, but some banker told them 30 years to spin it. And now all their commodities, I think, are going to drag in the next 12 months. Their earnings are going to be cut. Iron ore looks terrible. They're going to have massive cutbacks. There's too much supply. Everyone's built new mines. Whereas gold, no one's built mines. I mean, our Liver mine and our Tucano mine are probably just a handful of new gold mines coming on stream in the next 6 to 12 months in the industry. That's crazy, right? That's mad.
Can I say another thing? I'm interested that the battery metals haven't really been working, and that was such a big theme everyone wanted to get into. I mean, just, what's that?
It was a bubble. It was just a lot of hot air.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm supportive of the of the digital assets in Bitcoin, but you did say something that I felt rung true, was that the Bitcoin investor is not ready for a 10-year bull market. And you felt like the euphoria you see around Bitcoin and Ethereum reminds you of gold in 2012, where gold had an almost uninterrupted bull market since 2002. It kind of went through the financial crisis very well, went on to new highs. And I think I was the same way. I felt like, yeah, I was like, it all makes
Yeah.
sense to me why gold was just going to keep going to 5,000. And then it went nowhere for 10 years and it was agonizing. And there was nothing wrong with the story of gold or the fundamentals, and everything that you thought would happen was happening. Central bank was expanding its balance sheet, deficits were growing. All of the entire narrative was still happening, and yet gold went down for 10 years. And I feel I have a sense that could happen with maybe not 10 years, but I sense something like that. I feel like the digital asset community has had it very good, and are not prepared for going through what the gold investors have gone through.
Yeah. When you've been right for 10 years every year, you start to believe in your own sort of views, right? And
Yes.
when you've been wrong for 10 years, you give up and you don't believe anymore. And a classic sign for crypto is that there's always guys, and I watch the crypto guys a lot on YouTube, because you can go on YouTube and find 20 guys within the last few hours posting that Bitcoin's about to go to $1 million. But you can't find anyone talking about gold. And it's always like, oh, I think a correction's just about to come. And
It's overbought.
Classic sign is the crypto guys love to go to these conferences. And that's exactly what the gold guys used to do. They used to do this big backslapping exercise and, hey, we're all in this together, and gold's going to 5,000 and Bitcoin now it's going to 1 million. Well, it's classic. I don't know. I might be wrong. I'm sure they're going to try and run it again. But at the moment, gold is massively outperforming crypto. And I think it's going to
keep. It's outperforming everything.
Yeah. It's the only game in town. I mean, not being arrogant or anything. It just feels something very different now is coming. Demand is demand is basically 2 to 3 times more than global mine supply a year. And eventually all the inventory is getting sucked out of the COMEX and the LBMA. And I think they're running scared. I think they're not sure what to do, because the old trick was the bullion banks came in, smashed the market down for 3 weeks. Everyone followed suit, and you go through 6-12 months of pain. But they've been trying that all year now, and they're getting their heads handed to them. I'm sure there's billions and trillions of losses on the books of the bullion banks right now who are not sure what to do. What if gold goes to 3,500? How much really does HSB lose, or Barclays, or JP Morgan? What are their real losses, or are they being subsidized by someone else? So it's a really exciting market, and I love it when you have these little sell-offs, and then you just watch them just whoosh straight back up again. That is a classic bull market sign, So yeah. It's really exciting, like it is. And but as I said, most people still don't believe it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It doesn't get as much attention. It's one of the most important macro asset classes in the world, and it's not getting much attention. And you're right, you said people don't trust it. And I would just I think the difference is what you're seeing with the statistics out of the World Gold Council is now you have consistent central bank buying, and I really feel the U.S. confiscating Russia's treasuries after the Ukraine war had a lot of unintended consequences as a signal to every central bank around the world that U.S. treasuries are not the risk-free asset you thought they might be. That, if your government somehow gets on the wrong side of U.S. policy, that could be those hundred millions or billions of dollars of treasuries could be instant zero and confiscated and actually used against you. So, which, I thought for the policy of trying to have reserve currency, global reserve currency, that was, I think that has definitely been a signal to many countries. They want to start shifting into gold with rapidly. And that's and you're seeing it come through in the statistics, gold buying from central banks. And I think that's what the investment banks have not been prepared for, that you have real buyers coming in size with physical delivery. And I think that's why the gold price, you see it. It used to just kind of poke up and sell off, and it was quite weak and erratic. And I think that's why retail investors have always been nervous about getting bullish, because it would fall on its face. And this time it's just much more persistent. And I think it's that central bank buying behind it. And now I think you'll probably get you could get the more retail and more the hedge funds and asset managers, CTAs could start to, once the trend gets going, they all of a sudden get more bullish too, right?
Yeah. Well, when the central banks announce I've bought 55 billion of Bitcoin for the month of October, then I'll start believing. But they're not, right? No.
Yeah.
Just
Maybe in
Bitcoin
the future.
selling to each other, hoping that they're not the last guy holding it. So, but no, I mean the market's certainly changed. The industry's been in a 14-year nuclear winter. I mean, the finance industry stopped funding us. Brokers don't call us. Banks don't lend to us, and even royalty companies. Even royalty gold companies no longer do royalties. They just buy each other. There's a reason why royalty companies go by that name. It's because their management think they are royalty. So, you're always like begging for them to give you money, and they go, "Oh, that's going to cost you." And it's just, they're just basically buying each other. So there's no money in the industry. But demand is basically 2 times supply.
So
Show
Jeremy,
me another commodity like that.
Yeah, and I wanted to just go on to one other opportunity that you've pointed out. What you're interested, it's part of what you're doing with Tucano and Great Panther, but you think, you were first, you were kind of buying operational mines or mines with infrastructure and mills that were you could go into production relatively quickly. But I think you see that the next opportunity here, the new untouchable, is the exploration companies.
Yeah. Well, if you want to know what a nuclear winter really is like, they are still in the middle of that, and most of them can't raise a penny. And to be honest, they did spoil it for the rest of us, because a lot of these exploration companies are basically old geos who can't find a job. And so they come up with some idea that there's some gold somewhere in the middle of northern Canada. They go and talk someone into writing them a check, or a few people, for a couple of million, blow it into the summer, come back with nothing, and then go again. So they're like bad gamblers, and they're definitely in the sin bin right now. We're doing the merger with Golden Shield, and Leo rang me, Leo Hathaway, and he said, "Listen, I just can't raise money anymore, but I love what you're doing." And I said, "Well, I love what you're doing." And with that merger with Tucano, we're picking up a massive land package in Guyana next door. And I'm sure now, as time goes by, the explorers will start to really re-rate massively. But at the moment, it's a little early, and there's still plenty of bargains out there, because the market knows with explorers that they're always looking for money. And that's the beauty of the Tucano Golden Shield merger, is that Tucano will fund Leo's work in Guyana. They won't need to keep raising money in the market. So I have a mixed emotion about explorers. I think a lot of money has been diverted away from us real grown-up producers to the casino stocks, I call them. But I'm sure they'll have another big move soon.
And is Tucano doing a raise now, or I think you're?
Yeah, we're in the middle
to do this deal.
Posting a raise next week, 80-cent round, with half a warrant at $1. And to give you an idea of how cheap this is, we'll value this post money at only 50 million Canadian, including Golden Shield in that share structure. There's only 55 million shares out, which is super tight. And to build it today, as I said, would cost 500 million. Now, I think when we're producing in this kind of market, and as we ramp up to 10,000 ounces a month, at today's price, Tucano will make 10 million US a month. 10 million a month, and we're valuing this thing at 50 million Canadian post money.
And so this is the round to get you into production. Is that what it is, or?
We're that close to production, Eric. I mean, it's tantalizingly close, and a couple of million more, and we're going to be producing, because everything's there. I've got 20,000.
You have the mill, yeah.
I've got everything there, the ROM pad, the staff ready to go. We're that close to turning it on, and yeah, it's
Can I ask you to share one? Sorry to distract you, but it was one story that I can you talk about your purchasing of machinery for Tucano? Because is that all right? I remember because I thought that was interesting because you looked at all of the brands and you were on a budget and you have found what's the Chinese company that you purchased machinery from?
They're called Sani, and
Sandy Heavy, right?
yeah, and they're amazing. Yeah, they're
So
amazing.
it's I was just like, wow, you're they're just you've done all the shopping and they were quite competitive on
Oh yeah,
pricing for mining equipment.
they're basically one third the price of a Caterpillar truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
maybe they won't last as long, but hey, for little guys like us, we can't afford Caterpillars, and then Caterpillars never rang us to offer us a funding package. So Caterpillar are for the big guys, for the the elite industry.
yes. Oh, maybe one day when you're making $10 million a month, you can
Sure, yeah,
buy some Caterpillars.
no,
Um, well, Jeremy, I think that's useful. I don't want to take up any more of your time, but we I loved your views, and it's just I think it's helpful to hear someone looking for maybe a view of where gold is going, and someone that's willing to have some imagination where this could be at 4,500 by next year, that this is the bull market. I having been through the bear market myself and been there with you, I mean not is gone through the stresses that you've had to, but I feel the same way that this is it's going to go farther than people think, and I'm encouraged to see the lack of participation in the institutional community.
oh, massively under participating. Yeah, no, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Rick. We're really excited. We'd love your support. You being a great supporter of us. And like today, there's a rate announcement today, isn't there? And I'm sure once you publish this, we'll all know what the answer is. But honestly, does it really matter? I think the Chinese and the Indians and the central banks are buying for other reasons than worrying about a rate cut or something. So, yeah, I think we're going to see some really exciting months ahead. And I just would, if you're not involved in the sector, definitely take a serious look at it. It's very underrated, massive upside, huge margin expansion, and I just think we're in an absolutely amazing nirvana period for the group.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Eric. Good to see you,
Yeah.
mate.